Yeah, I'm just going to tell a quick story. I met up with a couple of people today. So one of them was my boy Warren, who I prepped for a show a while back. His dream, obviously, at the time was to get up on stage, and he was talking about now switching his career and going down the personal training, going down the fitness route, and making that his career in life. And basically, we just met and had coffee, and we're talking about life and just everything that comes with it. But he was asking about my journey, and I've not really talked an awful lot about my journey, and because a lot of people see kind of the good things, and they see you doing well, and they see you following, they see a new car and a nice house and all these things, and I don't really talk about my story an awful lot. So I'm just going to do a quick video now and talk a little bit about it. As anyone that knows, right now I'm in a very fortunate position that my business is thriving. Again, I've got a head trainer running things. I've got my tech guys and my team running my online programs. I've been in a very fortunate position where the things are going amazing, and I'm literally doing a job that I love, that I would do for free. My people that I work with, I would work with every one of them for free. But there was a time when I didn't have any of this. When I moved back, like I'm back in Ireland about 2.5 years. When I moved back from about 2.5 years ago, I came back and moved home. I was on the dole. I was on the social welfare when I came back for about 3 months. Because we were talking about times, and Warren was asking how long would it take to build up a business and do well, and you forget how far you've come in a short period of time, because the reality is 2.5 years ago I was living at my mum and dad's house. I was on social welfare, and I was driving my little sister's 2000 red Yaris. I didn't have anything that I have now. Like, I've got my own house. I've got a new 161 car. I've got, a thriving business. And I'm not saying those things to boast, or it's just, these are things because I'm very detached from the things that I own. They mean nothing to me. I don't care about new cars. I don't care about houses, nice clothes, things like that. The material things mean nothing to me. But that being said, there was a time when I didn't have any of these things, and I was telling Warren, and it's a pretty short period of time, like you're talking 2.5 years, when I was sitting on social welfare, because that's what happens sometimes. Like, the reality is, because Warren, he was asking me, was I down? Did I ever have any doubts? And yeah, of course I had doubts. Everybody has doubts. I told him a story. I remember, Jesus, I don't know why I don't think I've ever told this story before on social media, but I remember when I made the transition first from teaching to personal training. My mum and dad, who are phenomenal fans that have been my best support network I could ask for, they gave me €5,000 to make the transition. They just gave me the money. It was their own savings. They had it put aside for me to be able to go off and do my own thing, because they saw that this was my passion. This is what I wanted. I blew through that in 3 months. I started renting a gym in London, which was costing me, I think, about €700 at the time. My rent was about £650 at the time. 3 months, I blew through the entire thing. I went from having what would have at the time seemed like enough money to get started and set up, to having nothing, to not having a penny. I remember it was the only time in my life when I actually couldn't afford to eat food. I didn't have any money. It was the lowest point I've ever been at in terms of financial. It's why I've got such a drive now to do well. And when you have to do things for money, you make bad decisions. I still follow that law with my business now. Like, I don't follow money in my job or in my business, because when you're following money, you make bad decisions. That was a very, very low point. It was the point that when I literally had that, I've made a fucking mistake. I've made a bad choice. I left teaching to try personal training, and it didn't work. The irony of it is, I came back to Ireland 2.5 years ago. This was about 4 years ago. I came back to Ireland, and I made my fuck ups. I made my mistakes. So I came back, I was good. I had already worked out the kinks and the curves. I'd been working with people. I literally thought that wasn't my path. It wasn't what was meant for me. I went back teaching. And only reason I went back in training was because I had a girl come to me who was a friend, and I started training her in the parks. The biggest thing I can say to people now starting your own business is, don't put yourself into getting stupid overheads. I blew through that money so quickly. because there was no money coming in and there was money going out in overheads. I was paying for the rent of a gym. I was paying for the rent of my house. I was paying for my food, paying for everything that I had to pay for. And it was gone. 3 months. Everything. I didn't have anything. I didn't have a penny. I was fortunate enough that I was able to go back teaching, and I was able to get enough money to live again. And as I said, I started working with that girl in the park, and she started to transform and recommend friends. And that gave me confidence to realize that actually, do you know what? I'm actually really good with this fitness thing. Just I wasn't very good with the business side. It's why I'm so good with the business side now, because I realized that I had a massive gap in my knowledge. And it's a position that I just never wanted to be in again. And the reality is 2.5 years, you know, I moved back in January of 2.5 years ago. I had a vision of what I wanted to be. I knew exactly where I was going. It was crystal clear, because Warren asked me, he was like, did you have doubts? He goes, that must have been a bad time when you were on social welfare and you were living with your mum and dad in the car. And I was like, no, I was good. You know, I fucking knew where I wanted to be. I had it posted on my walls. You can see my whiteboards and stuff that's all over. Like these are things that are all going to get done. At the time, the life that I wanted, to have a business, to be working in fitness and doing what I'm doing, it was a vision at the time. But I knew I was working towards it, and I knew I was going to get it. It was just a matter of working hard enough to get there. We all have doubts. It doesn't matter how successful somebody is, or successful is a quote unquote is a subjective term anyway. You know, if you deem, you know, new car, nice house, money, good relationships, that's in society's terms is successful. To me, successful is being able to take my daughter to the park when I want to take her to the park, or meet my mum for coffee, or have relationships and have long talks with my closest network. That to me is success, because they're the things that I can do to train when I want to train, to help as many people as physically possible. Like, I talked with Warren that the content I put out, like I put out more free content more than anybody, because I'm like, here's my fucking message. I was like, this is shit that I struggled with for years. Here, take it, you know? So when you're watching videos and you're reading posts, that's stuff that I would have wanted 4, 5, 6 years ago. So that's why I do it. So that's why I get my message out there, and I post as much as I can about everything that I know, so that you guys know, and it shortens your time to it. That was a dream. That was a vision at a time when I was like, I just want people, you know, I just want to be in a job I love. I want to work with people I love with, and I want to be able to get my message out there to people. You know, that was a vision 2.5 years ago, when you're getting €170 or whatever it is a week, you know, on your social welfare, and you're living out of your mum and dad's fucking basement, and you're driving your little sister's car. You know, there was a vision there. I knew what I wanted. So the reality is, it doesn't matter where you start. My transition has been fast. You know, my quote unquote success has been fast in those terms. I suppose 2.5 years is a short period of time, but there was years and years of training underneath. I'm 15 years training, you know, reading, learning about the body, all of these things. You know, on the scale, it doesn't seem like a long time, and in relative terms, I suppose it's not. But just believe that it doesn't matter where you start. It doesn't matter what your situation is right now. It doesn't matter if you hate your job, if you're on social welfare, if you literally don't have 2 coins to rub together. I was in that position. I was in the position when I physically didn't have enough money to buy fucking food to eat. It was a horrible position. We make stupid decisions when we don't have money, and when you're trying to follow money, you know, and that can send people astray. So I know how that feels. It's fucking irrelevant where you start, because if you know where you're going and you get on the right path and surround yourself with the right people and read the books and consume the information that's going to support you do that, you can do fucking anything. I'm, without boasting or ego, I'm living proof that you can go from nothing, from having where you can't rub 2 pieces of fucking sterling together, to living out of your mum and dad's basement, to having your little sister's car and living on social welfare, to having the things. And I'm in the process now of building a legacy. That is my fucking dream, is to build a legacy where my information, everything that's in my head, is out there for people to see. You know, I'm in that position now. That only started, that was a dream 2.5 years ago. It was a vision. But I'm closer now than when I was 2.5 years ago. I was happy then. I'm happier now, because I knew where I was going, and I know where I'm going from now on forward. So don't think of where you are is where you're going to stay. It's about having a vision and being clear about how to get there. That's what it does. People know my backstory. I've talked about how I grew up on a farm in Connemara, how I've competed on the world stage as traveled the world as an international fitness model, all of these things. This is a bit more relative to life terms. I went to a position where I had no money, where I blew through all of my €5,000 that my mum and dad had given me, blew through the whole thing, didn't have 2 pieces of sterling I could rub together, had to move back home, living out of my parents' basement on social welfare. Doesn't matter where you fucking start. Have the vision, know what you want, and go and get it.